Village of Lindenhurst. News 12's Andrew Anger takes a look at what happened there and what's being done to prevent another disaster.
On October 29th, Superstorm Sandy slammed into Long Island, and the low-lying South Shore village of Lindenhurst was one of the hardest hit areas. Floodwaters here rose to as much as 8 feet, including inside Carmen Amador's bayfront home.
Words cannot describe how devastating that was.
Carmen and her neighbors came back after the storm to see floodwaters still on the streets, people's waterlogged possessions tossed out front, and homes that were just no more. Steve Frisk described it like a war zone.
Everybody had piles of furniture in front of the house, and the village was picking it up with payloaders and throwing them in dumpsters.
It was a heartbreaking sight to see all that damage.
Absolutely.
Carmen and Steve chose to live on the water in Lindenhurst, even though their properties were near sea level. They've both raised their homes and rebuilt, but 10 years later, there are still homes that are being raised in the village, while others have chosen not to go up. The village has always had street flooding problems, but in the years after Sandy, officials say they've installed check valves on storm drains, added special sump pumps, and built up roadways. But most of those improvements have taken years to implement. What took so long?
In many cases, we didn't have a design in place.
Mayor Michael Lavarada says stormwater flooding mitigation efforts have come slowly, but they are happening. He says the village has lost 41 homes in the storm. Those properties, he says, were leveled and sold as open space to neighbors with the intent to storm harden the shoreline.
We've tried to work it out so that those properties became useful again.
While villages like Lindenhurst and others have done lots of things to prevent future flooding, some officials and residents are concerned about what would happen if another or even more powerful storm than Sandy hits Long Island.
That's always in everyone's mind and in our minds, but we're hoping that it is the 100-year event.
Carmen Amador expects to see another big storm hit the island, but says hopefully with these improvements, it won't be as bad as Sandy.
We do pray that we never have to go through something like that ever again.
In Lindenhurst, Andrew Enger, News 12 Long Island.
And don't miss our half-hour special, October 26th, Sandy, 10 years later. We'll take a look back at the storm's impact on our tri-state area and the changes we've made since. That's Wednesday, October 26th at 7 p.m.